morning, my friends. I hope you all have had a fantastic week so far. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jackie, and I have the absolute pleasure of telling the kids' story every Sunday here at Agape. So this week we are going to be looking at Joseph from Genesis. And this isn't the same Joseph who was Jesus' father. This is a different Joseph. And so we're going to be looking at his story and kind of the things that he's got going on in the Old Testament, which is a lot of really cool stuff. So let's get started. All right, so like I said, we're talking about Joseph. And Joseph in our story is just an average teenage guy in biblical times. The Bible says he was 17 years old and he was a young man, and he was a shepherd tending to flocks that his father and their family owned. And Joseph had a couple of brothers, and his brothers didn't always follow the rules, didn't always listen to directions, didn't always do what they were supposed to do. And that was really displeasing to their father, and he didn't like it that much. So, in order to reward Joseph for his great work and doing what he was told and being a good model, he made him a robe of many colors, a rainbow, actually. And this drove a wedge between him and his brothers because they could see that their dad was clearly favoriting Joseph, right? And so the Bible says they hated him and would not speak a kind word to him after they saw the robe. And so one day, Joseph had a dream, much like most of us do when we go to bed at night, except his dream was a little bit different, and he wanted to tell somebody about it. So he told his brothers. He said, "Hey, let me tell you about this dream I had while they were out gathering grain in the field." He said, "Listen to this dream. So we're out in the field, we're binding grain, and all of a sudden, my bundle of grain just stands straight up. And while all of your guys' bows down to it." And the brothers asked him the questions. He said, "Do you intend to rule over us? What would you be in charge of?" Because Joseph was the youngest. And so the dream actually angered his brothers even more, right? And so they decided that they were going to come up with a plan. And so he had another dream, right? And they were all working out in the field again. And Joseph decided to tell his brothers this other dream, right? And so he says, listen. So I had this other dream, right? And the sun and the moon were there, and there were 11 stars, and all of them bowed down to me. And so he told his brothers and he told his father, and they all kind of questioned. They said, why would we bow down to you? What is going on with your dream? Like, are you doing okay? And this made his brothers jealous of him. But his father kept this in the back of his head, but didn't really do much about it. And so one day, while Joseph's brothers were out feeding their sheep, Israel, Joseph's father, told Joseph to go out and find his brothers. And so he did, and he wanted to make sure that everything was okay with them and just make sure that they're doing all right. And so Joseph went off to find his brothers, and when he went to where his father said they were, he was kind of wandering around because nobody was there. And somebody asks him and says, "Who are you looking for? What are you looking for?" And Joseph replies and says, "I'm looking for my brothers. Can you tell me where they're grazing their sheep?" And the man who stopped him said, "Oh, they moved on past here. I heard him say, we're going to Dothan," right? Which is just up the road, just that way. And so Joseph went to find his brothers, and he found them near Dothan. But they saw him coming because of his coat, and there they decided to come up with a plot to kill him, which is not a good idea. Don't do that with your siblings or anybody. Actually, don't plot to kill anybody. But Joseph's brothers decided that they were going to try to take Joseph out. And so they see him, and they call and they say, "Here comes that dreamer." And they said, "Come now," like they're talking amongst themselves. They said, "Come on, let's kill him, and throw him into one of the caves, and let's just say like a lion or something ate him, and then we'll see what comes of his dreams. And so one of his brothers named Reuben heard this plan and tried to save Joseph because he didn't hate Joseph. He just didn't like him that much. Reuben says, actually, let's not kill him. You know what we should do instead? We should just throw him in there, take his coat, stain it with blood, and then take it back to Dad and see what Dad says. So that way we aren't responsible for killing him. We'll just leave him trapped. And so that's what they decided to do. And so when Joseph came up to his brothers, they took off his robe, the colorful, bright, beautiful robe that he was wearing. They threw him into a cave, and there wasn't any water, there wasn't any food. They trapped him in there, and they sat down and ate some food. They were just hanging out. And somebody walks past this cavern with the brothers sitting outside selling spices. And the brothers, instead of killing him and trapping him, decided that they wanted to sell their brother into slavery, which is also not a good idea. You should not do that to anybody. Don't sell people to slavery. Not good. But that's what they decided to do with their brother. And so they didn't think that anything would come of it. And so that's what they did. And that's what happened. And the brothers still had the robe, so they pretended like their brother Joseph, too many J names, their brother Joseph was killed. And they took the coat back to their dad, and they said, look what happened. This happened while we were out feeding our flocks. It came out of nowhere, and it got Joseph. And their father was devastated. He was very saddened by what happened. And so it says in the Bible, it says his father wept for him. And meanwhile, Joseph is in Egypt, hanging out with one of the Pharaoh's officials, a captain of the guard, actually, which is somebody that's super high up and super close to the Pharaoh. So we know that Joseph is not dead, but we also know that his father doesn't know that Joseph's dead. We know that he had a dream about ruling over everybody, his brothers, his parents, everyone. And we know that he's close with the Pharaoh now. So that is where we're going to leave off our story today. I hope you all have a fantastic week, and I will hopefully see some of you guys on Wednesday at 8 o'clock. And if not, I will see you next Sunday. Bye, guys.